singing God Bless America every single day of my life and pledging allegiance to the flag every ever-loving day of my 23 years. And so when I sing the call, when the recruiters come to town, so handsome and real nice, talking to me so nice like Tom Hanks style, I said, sure, I'll do whatever it takes to protect my country. I wasn't doing nothing anyways, just working at the Dairy Queen. Hello, how are you today? We got peanut butter parfait, strawberry sundaes, brownie explosion. We got DQ patties, DQ fries. Hell, I wasn't doing nothing for my country working at the Dairy Queen except making it fat. And there was no way in hell I was going back to work at that chicken factory. So I signed up that day. I used to be the high school queen, now I got my M16. Your daddy is a war hero. He got a Purple Heart eventually. That's what someone who I will not name in very high up position told me. But we would eventually get citations for service to military intelligence and even medals because we are taking the fall. I am willing. Oh yes, I will take the fall for my country any old day. I am like Joan of Arc, being burned at the stake. With them pictures and the whole World Wide Web hating me and having to be a secretary, I took the fall. But I'm not going to prison. I'm going to Quebec. Y'all, I got a plan to escape to Canada. I'm on a lie under a truckload of hostess cupcakes or field tomatoes, and I'm going into exile like Napoleon. And like Napoleon, I will return one day an American hero. I was doing what had to be done to get to the intelligence, and that is, according to their culture, me laughing at their willies was worse than a beating. Way worse. I was softening them up, like you might put out hard butter on the windowsill. I had a smile on my face, but this was serious intelligence work.
This is my first moment of peace since the invasion. And in case you're wondering, that's why I'm hiding. Hiding in Harrowdown Hill. Sounds like a children's book. Looks like one too, doesn't it? All these ash and oak trees, little woodland creatures running about, wildflowers everywhere, mad scientists hiding. If someone had told me when I was 16, David Kelly, you will die in a forest when you are 59 after your 15 minutes of world fame, I wouldn't have believed either. The forest or the fame. Me, the quiet little Welsh boy. How could I ever be of consequence in the world? So it's not so bad for me. It's them. My wife, my daughters, my sister. The shock. The loss, I suppose, the grief, the tawdry talk, all the bloody nattering. Oh yes, remember that mousy British scientist, Kelly? He killed himself. Remember? He was the weapons inspector. He got himself into all that trouble blabbing to the BBC, saying there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, calling Tony Blair a stinking liar. They found him, dead, in the forest. Was it suicide? Or was it murder? Is this too much to ask? That you witness my death? It's a terrible thing to ask, I know, but I am asking because, well, I don't want to be alone. Is that weak? I can't have my loved ones here because, of course, they would revive me. Remember Bobby Sands? Well, he and some other IRA fellows, they were on a hunger strike for better conditions in prison, and they insisted their wives and mothers and sons and daughters promised them that when they became unconscious they would not be revived. An almost impossible promise to make. Can you imagine? The family of Bobby Sands, they kept their word. Maggie Thatcher, of course, didn't give way, and Bobby Sands died. Does his death have meaning? Well, I believe that it does. After all, he is remembered. You see, this might be the only way I can have an impact, the only way I can make up for what I did not do. The truth about weapons of mass destruction, that's what everyone wanted to know. I skirted the truth, bobbed and weaved, but I loved to hear my own voice, loved to be regarded as the expert, the world expert on biological weapons. I was even nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for my work in Russia 10 years before, uncovering Stalinist secrets, disarming the next Black Plague. And that is how they always introduced me. I talked to the press incessantly, my words always precise, witty, always filtered, always bloody lies.
I laughed when my British friend said to me, "Now what is the correct spelling of your name, dear?" How can you talk of correct spelling when you transcribe Arabic into English? It is phonetics only. What is fascinating to me is that women are names of flowers, but not all flowers. Because if you are English and you are named Daffodil, people will laugh. That is what my friends have told me. And if they want to insult a man, to say to him he is not masculine, they call him Pansy, but not Rose or Tulip. And another thing I have observed is that a woman is never called after a tree, only a flower. Because the purpose of a flower is to attract a bee. And the tree stands alone, blissfully alone. The tree provides air and shelter and food. So I think all mothers should be given a second name after the tree. No matter how bad things get in your country, I know you have your terrible sex and blood crimes. There are many gang shootings and your prisons are full, but you cannot, I do not want to be rude, but I'm telling you that you cannot even begin to imagine what life was like under Saddam Hussein. To even say his name, it makes my stomach sick. And I will not offend any of God's creatures by calling him a beast. There is only one word for such an evil human being, Shaitan. Satan. Because Satan means to be the human embodiment of evil. And I do not mean by this ignorance. The child that is still somewhere deep within most Iraqis is convinced Saddam is not mortal, that he has superpowers, like the American cartoon figures, that he will come back from the dead and take over again and he will live forever. Because until he was captured in a hole in the ground, he had been in power as long as anybody under about 55 years can remember. He did not become absolute ruler until the late 70s. But everything has been Bath and Saddam since the 60s. How stupid was I to think for even one moment that life might be better, that the Americans and their murderous puppet brothers, the British, cared about us, about our freedom, our children! This hope was a flash, a lightning flash in the pitch dark, and it is gone. Iraq is once again hell. I would finally again see my son. And I knew he would smile to me, just as he did on my darkest day. A smile that said, "Forgive. Forgive yourself, Mama, because I forgave you." And he takes my hand. And together, we fly